It is April 13th, 2015, 2 days after my father's birthday, in case you were wondering. No gifts are needed. Why don't we start with a Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag, as always. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. I assume we can confirm that the agenda only includes Tracy's interview and not anything else?
Well, we did have the pledge on there.
I got it. We have the pledge and then confirmation is our general business. I'm appreciating the method. If there's nothing else, then I would accept a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Excellent. All right, why don't we begin our 7:30 business. We have a interview for our conservation administrator process. So just so you know a little bit about us, the conservation in 2006, our commission was served by essentially an administrative assistant. She didn't have any field experience. She took the applications upstairs and then she handed them out to the commission during the meetings. And it was complicated and rough. The chair at the time was a fellow by the name of Tom Poole. Tom Poole works for the state. He would run around and do the investigations, but it was tricky whenever we had more than a little bit of business. In 2007, we worked with the Personnel Board to create the position, and we brought on a part-time conservation administrator with the idea that we would hire someone who was able to flag wetlands and go through applications and help us to help our main customer, the average landowner. I'm just doing history. But the idea was to have someone who could be that intermediate step. The previous administrative assistant wasn't able to do much in that realm. So by creating this position, we were very well served, and the public was well served to have a person who could speak to the state's laws, etc. So we now find ourselves without an administrator. Becky served us very well for many years, but she is in the midst of raising a family and has left us to do so. And so we are looking for someone to come work for us now to do that work. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I started out working in the field of geology, hydrogeology, and subsurface type investigations. And from there, a lot of it was getting involved with hazardous waste sites, and I was more interested in resource protection, water resources. So I left the firm I was with and started working for North Andover Conservation Commission. I was their first agent.
Oh.
And immediately within about a year and a half, I went to work for the DEP, the Northeast Regional Office, as an environmental analyst. And from there I went from being entry as an EA2 to a 3 and a 4, an assistant section chief at one point. Then I left because I had 3 children. I raised a family. And at that time, I also worked part-time as a conservation agent for the town of West Newbury and Newburyport, and worked a lot on, the Plum Island Ordinance and that. And then started my own business, which I'm finding I'm enjoying doing peer reviews for neighborhood issues. However, there isn't quite enough work in that regard, and the insurance costs are very high, and I missed working in the municipal world with other departments and that.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting. So you've run your own business since 2007?
Well, it actually started to get going in 2008. So there's so much paperwork to start it and get my...
Right in time for the economic collapse.
Right, exactly. That's true.
It was a timing that hurt many of us. Don't. So, did you enjoy what kinds of applications would you see in Newbury and Newburyport?
In Newburyport, a lot of inland wetland applications mainly. There were some landfill closure projects and, projects on Plum Island, a lot of tear down and rebuild, but a lot of homes in the inland areas.
We don't have a lot of ocean water projects.
Right, so no coastal regulations at all. But they at the time, they still did not have an ordinance or a bylaw for the inland parts of Newburyport, and I don't think they do, or they passed one since I had left in 2008, I think.
Well, we have a bylaw. It was one of the first in the state, and it merely mimics Chapter 40. It doesn't do very much. We've talked about ways to recondition it, if you will, but town meeting has always been an impediment to changes to our bylaw. So maybe something you could help us with.
Like vernal pools and that. They add some
If they existed.
conditions to it.
Yeah, no, we,
But usually they just mimic the regulations.
unfortunately, that's all ours did. Literally, word for word, except for one word. The word aesthetic was added to ours.
Oh.
Yeah.
What year did Patrick Hughes try to change the bylaw? Or,
Oh, boy. Would have been 05.
didn't go very well at town meeting.
What was
it's been 10 years.
especially brutal at town meeting was when someone else who was on one of the boards pointed out that we actually had a bylaw, but none of the members of the commission knew about it because no one from the previous commissions had ever talked about it. So we put together actually an extensive bylaw, proposed passing it, and it wasn't so good. Anyway.
It's about that 10-year mark to try again.
So thank you for telling us about yourself. Do you have any questions for Tracy?
What is, what kind of office experience because this job involves a lot of sort of
Walk-ins?
walk-ins or paperwork with doing permits and issuing the orders of conditions, and as well as wetland flagging, evaluation, and stuff. But it's sort of a schizophrenic job in that respect. You have to know this stuff on the wetlands and soils and then the office stuff.
Well, it helps to have the office hours, that way you're not interrupted when you're actually working on reviewing a file or writing up some conditions.
That would be nice.
Recommendations for conditions. And so that's helpful, but the calls, the public, they don't know your office hours, but I'm fine with answering phone calls. We were expected to do that with the state as well, answering the public phone calls.
It gets tricky that way. One of the main issues that we run into is that clearly the person who comes in doesn't know what they're trying to accomplish, and that's been our biggest issue.
Right.
So, are you comfortable with field visits? That's a big part of what we've done in the past.
That's my specialty, is field visits and map reading.
Wonderful.
And reading, the maps and figuring out what resource areas are not shown on the map, like land subject to flooding, and whether their proposal to provide compensation is actually adequate or even meets the regulations.
You're going to love our mismatch of ACECs. George, did you have any questions?
Pass for now.
Takashi?
I think I'll pass as well. First of all, thank you for being here and telling us a little bit about yourself. I'm impressed by your resume, and I think you've kind of touched on the things that I feel like were important, so I'll pass. And Bill did a good job of explaining kind of what we're looking for in the position.
Since George didn't ask at this time, do you have experience with construction compliance or environmental compliance on construction sites?
Yes,
You feel pretty comfortable
yes.
doing those types of inspections and understanding how SWIP and construction general permit works as EPA and how that ties into Conservation Commission?
Especially, well, on Plum Island, a lot of the construction manual, the coastal construction manual, and the, you were talking about, you mean the stormwater management regulations? Yeah, definitely. Been working with that since before they existed. Actually, because at DEP, we still had to review all of the stormwater reports and compliance with that, with the plans.
So this year, one of the, I personally was disappointed. So we hadn't had any appeals in years, ever, as far as I was concerned. And then this year we had 2 appeals. So one was with regard to some stormwater basins. Actually, it was 3. Well, I don't count her. We had, one was complete NIMBY, which I'm not counting. But we had one appeal which was with regard to stormwater basins and their proximity to the wetland resource. And our typical work in that process is we provide those plans to the DEP, to our, the DPW. And the DPW chair, supervisor, he's a professional engineer, he reviews them. And in fact, in this particular case, he actually forwarded them to his brand new town engineer who reviewed them and they both signed off. And then pretty quickly afterwards, we were appealed and DEP agreed that the basins as designed didn't meet the criteria of the regulation. So that was very disappointing to us. And certainly very disappointing to me. Is that something that you would feel comfortable providing the review on?
Yes. I guess it depends on, I mean, you mean reviewing the information before the order is issued?
Yes. So,
Yes.
for instance, so the engineer, in this case is a PE, and his name is Mark Wetzel, is the DPW super. So Mark used to work at DeFran Henry, and I know that because I used to work at DeFran Henry. And so when Mark was there, he was overall in charge of the office, and then he's been on the North Reading or Reading, I can never remember. I think Reading. He's been on the Reading Conservation Commission for many years. And so I don't think any of us identified, unless one of you wants to stand up and say you did, I don't think any of us identified that the basin was too close either. And it kind of caught us off guard. So that would be something that we're really looking for, because our only other opportunity is to utilize our town's consultant bylaw, which would push. My feeling is that we're probably going to get to the point where we're going to indicate in our, not necessarily in our regulations, but in our toolkit that says here's what to expect when you come to us. Probably recommend that anything with more than 3 or 4 houses should probably go before an outside review. I'm not excited about it, but I think it's probably the best way for us to do it, because I definitely don't want to put us in a position where we're not giving valid judgments before DEP.
Right.
So.
No, I'm comfortable with that. Now the regulations have changed a lot in the years, but I've been reviewing those projects, and actually the last 2 projects that I've reviewed with my company, they've been stormwater projects related to solar array projects.
Ah, interesting. I was going to say off the grid. It wasn't on purpose. That's the worst part. Are they in fields or rooftop or?
One was actually in a field, and they claimed they didn't know it was a wetland until after they submitted the notice, and it was just, then they reapplied and had another plan, and it just never worked. But the one that I'm reviewing now, it's on a drumlin, and they're going to cut down every single tree on it, and they're going to put that thing up on a hill, and there's just no stormwater management plan. They say they don't need one. They say there's no impact, but when you look at the soil type and the curve numbers, and it just didn't look right. I actually had an engineer review it because I needed that PE stamp to go forward with an appeal, but that's still in the process. But you could tell that there was going to be a great increase in the runoff.
Interesting.
And they didn't provide any detention basins or swales or any of the requirements of the stormwater management plan. They didn't meet the 8 criteria for the stormwater.
Well, I can tell you, we've been very blessed. So a number of the members have professional experience or are presently working professionally at this. Others of us are making it up as we go, and it's been very interesting over the years. So I meant George, but it's very interesting to hear your take on it, because we also recently had a applicant who came to us about a solar array, and they do have some tree cutting, that's for sure. But I felt comfortable with what they were showing us. But it's interesting, we did not get into soils with them, and so I'm not concerned about this particular project based on the topography and the hill, but it would be interesting to learn more about that. So I'm sure you don't want Tracy to get away without having your question.
When were you at UMass?
I graduated in '79.
Graduating 77.
Oh, okay. In geology. Where were you?
Stop.
What is Plant Sort and same building?
Yeah,
Right. Morrill Hall.
French Hall and back.
Oh, okay.
But, one of the issues here at Town Hall is lack of space. So that in terms of office space, you're sharing with other people. You don't have a lot of space to yourself. So having worked a long professional career, I don't know if that makes a difference to you or not.
Is there room to look at plans? I know
Well, if you go
that is-
outside, I mean, no, it's, the desk space is limited, the office space is limited. Town hall was designed for however many people there were here in the 1800s, in the mid-19th century. But the room that we have upstairs is shared. Is it Mar now?
Yeah.
Dave Mar's on one side. There's a partition wall, and then there are 2 desks. And the good news is the desk behind you is presently unoccupied, so you could probably use that to spread out a little bit. But I don't know how long that'll last. But it is a cozy space. People would use that term if you were selling it in real estate. It's a cozy space.
I think Becky used to go down to the Great Hall, which is the next floor down, if she needed to really spread out
Yeah.
with big crowds.
There is space available. You might have to walk a touch for it. But we have stairs and an elevator, both, so the building is fully ADA compliant. So that's not an issue.
And it's a big desk and with a side credenza.
Yes.
I mean, no matter where you work, if you have a large enough
Yeah.
project, you have to move somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. That's what kitchen tables are for.
Just a quick question about land management. It's not a huge element of this particular position, just because it being so part-time, most of your time is going to be related to administering the Wetlands Protection Act and that sort of thing. But the town of Ayer does have some conservation land, not a lot, some, and the conservation administrator needs to at least be a liaison to the volunteers and of the Greenway Committee and other folks in town who basically conduct sort of in the field land management, trails management, that kind of thing. But on occasion, it requires some facilitation by the conservation administrator to help give formal approvals or to make sure that things are being done, accordingly. Do you have any land management experience, conservation land experience?
Not too much. I do know my invasive species plants and understand how you don't eradicate them, you manage them. And I understand I can identify them and work with somebody on that if there's a committee that's involved with
Yeah,
some kind of a plan to eradicate.
Well, actually, that's interesting. So this, this year, we had our last study was done for the ponds, was done in 2005. So I don't know if you had a chance to familiarize yourself with our town. We have Long Pond, which is fed out of a stream in Littleton. Yeah, we might as well. A very big part of what we tried very hard to avoid is weed management. And it didn't work. So Long Pond feeds through and goes into Sandy Pond. Long Pond and Sandy Pond are both great ponds. Then Fletcher's Pond comes back to a dam, which is over here near the Rotary. This dam allows Fletcher's Pond to have the depth that it has today. Fletcher's Pond would actually be a flooded wet meadow if it was left as done before without the dam. And we have Pine Meadow Pond, which is also kept at its level by a dam at the edge of Oak Ridge Drive. We have always had an issue with vegetation in Fletcher's Pond because of the shallow depth and the fact that it's amazingly good soil for growing things. Grove Pond, there used to be, I always mess it up, I think it's actually, is it this one? Yeah, it must be over here. There used to be a tannery here that burned down many years ago. And unfortunately, the pond was obviously a welcome place to put their byproducts. And Plowshot Pond is on the edge of Shepley Hill, which is where the military had their landfill. So Plowshot Pond and Grove Pond are both contaminated with heavy metals. We don't recommend swimming in Grove Pond. And in fact, we just had a reiteration of our feelings about Grove Pond, certainly through part of our study. So we commissioned our study last August?
Yep.
Commissioned our study last August out of a couple of worthy competitors, company out of Acton, Geosentech, and they are completing our survey this year. And so we should have good information about stormwater impacts as well as what to do with vegetation management. So that's something that we'll be seeing this year. Have you been involved in any of those projects in the past?
Yes. I can't think of anything at the moment. It would have been at, reviewing at DEP and prior experience with hazardous waste sites when I worked for Metcalf and Addy in GZA, before it was GZA Environmental.
Well, we avoid those. Our planning in the past, obviously resources are limited, especially in a small town. And so our planning in the past involved providing money for weed treatment at Fletcher's Pond. And really, for a long time, it was just limited treatment at Sandy Pond after 2008. And we saved the letter, even though the Board of Selectmen pretended they didn't send it, but basically said, don't come ask for money. And so there were a number of years we didn't do any weed treatment until the residents formed a committee regarding the pond, Fletcher's Pond, because it was pretty weed choked. And so we've had a couple years of treatment. We've commissioned the study, and the results will come back, and undoubtedly they'll say what we already know, which is they're going to keep growing. You can only treat them. But that's one of the things that we're facing here in town is, unfortunately, weed treatment, and it's expensive and it's perpetual. So,
Where do you get your water supply?
our water supply is from a series of wells in the town. There are wells located on the side of Grove Pond. Here's Barnum. So they're actually, I don't know if these are by the flags.
I think so. Yep.
Sure look like it.
Grandma will.
Yep. So we have wells over here by Grove Pond,
And that's away from the heavy, where the tannery used to.
and then we have wells over here by Spectacle Pond, which is also the pond. It's okay. Which is also the pond that Littleton has their wells on the opposite side. Thank you. I don't know if you're familiar, but 119 runs through Littleton, and they have their own water treatment is over here. So their resource is coming from over here off of Spectacle Pond as well. We have 2 tanks up on the hill by the school, and we don't seem to hear a lot about our water department, which is a lot like the offensive linemen of the town's commissions, right? If you don't hear anything, it must be doing their job well. We do have a very good public works department, and so far that's all. It's all actually worked out pretty well as things go.
I saw a lot of aggregate companies when I drove in.
So you
Are
came
they
into
in Ayer?
Littleton.
Yes.
So there was actually. So you came in from the Littleton side. So here's Littleton Road. So you came off of 495.
Yeah.
You came in through Littleton here. Your GPS wisely did not take you 119, which is a mess at the time of day you came. As you came through here, there are a number of aggregate companies on the hill up here. In fact, Middlesex, is that Middlesex in the blue building there?
It used to be, and it still is.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sign. I think they actually took the sign down. Anyway, there's a aggregate company right here on the side of Spectacle Pond Road. That's what you saw. And also that building was all tilt-up construction, and they've actually redone it. And there's a new company, FIBA, moved in there. I thought that was interesting. As you keep coming down Littleton Road, so Willow. Why am I missing Willow? Spectacle Pond, the railroad tracks. Oh, Willow, it's not there. Here it is. So right off here, off Willow Road, there was a hill, and there's a development now there, started 7-8 years ago. And when we first went out to walk the site, there were 3 huge old steam-driven buckets. And apparently the clay that was in the hill was exceptionally fine clay used for covering landfills and such. And so apparently over in this area there's good resources that way. Of course, then they built the development, and that fine silty clay made a disaster out of their development. But right up until then, it was really neat stuff. I think that's pretty much on the end of what we have for resource development that way. I should think of anything. I can't think of anything else. Don't have another pit. But, so you went by them, but they were all Littleton. Have you had experience with sand or stone
No,
collection in the past?
no, it just seemed to go for miles. It seemed past one and there's another, so I was wondering if you had any issues with that, but it's not in your town.
No, and it's really all the same company, and it's indicative of something that happened 40 or 50 years ago that could never possibly happen today, because as you can see as you come along, it's a very big wetland on the left, and then all of a sudden, amazingly, the wetland stops, and there's a huge parking area and a concrete plant, and if you look behind it, the wetland is all around behind it. So I can only imagine that was found land back at the time. So, but the city of Boston was busy doing it as well, so it probably didn't matter. Did you have any questions for us?
What night are your meetings?
We
Is it
are the
Tuesday?
second and fourth Thursday
Thursday.
of every month, except at the holidays, because naturally one of those seems to fall on Thanksgiving every year. So we shift at the holidays by 1 week, so that we usually come in on the first and third Thursdays in November and December. That seems to work out well. Do you have a commitment on Thursday nights?
No.
Excellent. Did you have anything else?
Trying to think. The position's 15 hours a week?
Yes.
How did your former administrator work that?
Well, to be honest, she found it to be a challenge. And so there were 2 parts about that. So the first one is that when we went to the personnel board, there were really a couple of criteria, and one of the most critical ones for the personnel board was that the position be non-benefited, less than 20 hours a week. And we struggled with that, as you can imagine. And we tried to change that, and we were basically told that that would be inappropriate because we had promised we wouldn't ask for a benefited position.
The reason that happened was we were splitting that job off from a full-time job. So
Right.
So they wouldn't give us another full-time job to create
Oh,
that.
okay.
In fact, the desk that's right behind where you are, where the position is, that desk was occupied by the previous administrative assistant, who served 3 commissions, 3 boards between planning, zoning, and conservation. And we extracted, literally, our position from that single position. And so that was part of the deal, if you will, was that position we non-benefited. I think Becky had a hard time at times. As you know, it comes and goes. Some months you're crazy busy, and
Right.
Other months, people are threatening that we're going to talk about our language in our bylaw or something, and you pray it gets busy again. But but it's been one of the ways that we had worked around it at times was we would occasionally utilize the revenue that we had for Becky's hours, and then we would utilize wetland funds to supplement up to 19 hours to allow her to have a couple of extra office hours, especially if she could find a way to, achieve that in the field if she had visits and things to make, which was pretty helpful.
But we do also have something on our warrant for Springtown meeting next month to increase the hours from 15 to 19 as a regular basis, so.
Right. We went to the, one of the things that we mentioned specifically to the Finance Committee as part of their contribution to the town meeting and what was coming up was we indicated that we were very concerned that Becky had been overworked at 15 hours a week, and even just adding a couple hours would be so helpful. And so that's up for discussion at town warrant. So it's not something we can promise, but it is something that is up for discussion on annual town meeting.
Mhm.
Thank you. I was forgetting that, probably because I didn't want to mention it, but
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else? I just don't want to, I feel bad, we got you all the way here, and we don't have a lot of questions. Your resume is fantastic, and your work experience is fantastic, and so
Thank you.
there weren't all that many things to ask. Please do.
I noticed you're a certified landscape designer.
Yes,
Something new you're trying out.
yeah, it's something I did. It's, I didn't put who it was through. It's actually through the National State Garden Clubs. They have courses you have to take, 4 very, like a week-long course or half a week course. You have to do 4 and take these exams. So you have to wait. They only have them once a year. But the same teachers that teach those courses do the horticultural courses. Used to be Radcliffe horticultural landscape design courses, but the same teachers.
That's
So
interesting.
it was interesting. It was very interesting for somebody that could do it part-time.
It does sound like fun,
Yeah.
though. Say the two guys with yards that should be working in them right now.
So it come in handy to actually do a replication plan, right?
Well, I will tell you, that has been, so we've learned some painful lessons over the years, where it felt like we and our applicants approached the projects with the same best intentions, and a lack of a strong scope of work put us in a tricky spot. And in general, we were able to work most things out. We haven't had very many applicants where we've had real issues. We've had a couple of developments where the applicant really was not excited about conservation in any way, shape, or form, or frankly, the law. But in general, most of the people who come before us have been very good to work with. So, but it's always helpful to document.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those 2 developments we've had numerous enforcement orders on, and both of them are now under the state as well, since they have teeth.
Oh, really? Wow.
Right. Well, we got to the point where it didn't make sense to have a part-time commission with a part-time administrator chase down a group that clearly after the 4th enforcement order was not planning on changing their ways. And so we contacted the state. Joe Bellino got involved. It still fell under us, but now there was a way for them to be fined through the state for continued inaction. So I hate to say that's positive, but it was positive in the overall.
Mm-hmm.
So have you had any experience with dragging the state in to help with enforcement?
Oh, I had enforcement cases when I was with the state, and
Sure.
a few, not with the state, with the commissions, but really not all that many. Usually they comply with the enforcement orders, the local enforcement orders.
That must have been nice. So we had, we I think in our cases, the developers got in over their heads is probably the nicest way to put it. I think that one of the developers the material in the hill that I was referring to earlier loosely. They just couldn't control the material that was coming out of the hill. And they needed professional assistance, and that always comes with a cost. And of course, it came right at the same time as the economic downturn. So once they were forced to do it, they did it, but I'm sure it wasn't something they welcomed.
Mhm.
So it happens.
What's your experience with like just the nitty gritty generating orders, conditions, and paperwork associated with the permitting process? Boring but necessary.
Well, it is boring but necessary. I'm agreeing with you.
Then sure you have a boiler set and then you just add the special conditions with that for each individual order.
We do, and unfortunately, we have 5 wordsmiths who, whenever we go to change any of our boilerplate conditions, will spend, I think it's usually about 10 minutes a word as we go through and chew through it. So, you have patience?
So you have to write it down.
Change
it. Write it down.
We should actually do it by secret ballot. But
Who takes the minutes for the meetings?
our clerk takes the minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But she's ecstatic to do
It
so.
used to be him.
Yeah, it's not me anymore. I can say.
Oh, you can't say that out loud.
I was going to say that's not my specialty, so that's why I had to ask that question.
No, in fact, actually, one of the things that's been really helpful is that Jess volunteered to do that, because over the years, it always feels like if you're the person who is out doing the field visit or talking to the applicant, it would be really onerous for you to speak to that and try to.
Exactly.
Take the notes
That's
at the
the
same
reason
time.
why, exactly.
So it's very, very, very helpful that you do it.
And Takashi trained me. Did such an exemplary job way back.
I only had one commission.
He's like, yeah, I did.
Have you seen my owl pick? You only had one commission?
One commission required it, and it was very difficult to try to explain what you saw in the field, and you're talking with the applicant, and there's no way you could get that on paper.
No.
You'd have to have some gifted language skills to do that.
Or you'd have to record and then try and generate your notes after,
Mhm.
which is onerous.
What's your availability in terms of how many days, to parcel out, say, 15 to 19 hours?
Well, if it was 15, I was thinking like 2 days.
What we typically, so first off, of course, counted in there is our meeting. Our meetings basically run between 4 and 6 hours a month with the 2 meetings. Usually 7 to 9, sometimes 7 to 10 if we have a full docket. I think we handle them pretty well. You can see them online if you wanted to, if you want to investigate further. So there's 6 hours out of a month. So if you figure a month has 60 hours, 6 hours, so you'd give or take 2 hours per week would end up going dedicated toward meeting time. We also do the occasional Saturday visit. So every one of our applications that we hear for a notice of intent, we listen to the applicant, understand the project, and then ask them to mark or stake the project so that we can see it during the week. Couple parts to that. We do hold off site walks for the snow to melt, as a for instance, no matter how many times we're begged to come out and walk it when you can't see anything. But those visits are almost always on Saturdays. Is that an issue for you?
I wouldn't think it would be
Okay.
if
It's
I
not
didn't
every
work on a
Saturday
Friday or,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, with your agent, I mean, weren't they usually the larger projects that you would meet on Saturdays or?
Well, believe it or not, we walk every single one so that, quite frankly, it's for consistency's sake. No one can ever say, well, you didn't walk the Smith property, so you shouldn't walk mine. So we walk every single one of them. Our larger projects, usually we want to walk, because of any of the industrial projects that are going on. Those get a little bit more of a review, if you will. And with the homeowner projects, we found that, especially on a Saturday walk, we'll get out on their property and they'll start to talk to us about what they really want to do. And sometimes we have comments about changes to their plans. Sometimes the person who's drawing their plans has tried to make it look like there are other projects, and we get out and find out that that's not what the applicant really wants to do after all, and we work with them to try and make those things work. So that's been very positive. So I don't remember how many we had last year. We only had like 28 or 30 applications last year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like walking 28 or
Yeah, no, I'm just,
Saturdays,
didn't
but-
you do the town meeting thing?
I
So,
left that point, she figured it.
we probably met 1 to 2 weekends a month for Saturday morning, and as you're talking about 2 or 3 hours. So, but it only seems appropriate to mention it because it would be terrible if you told us that Saturday morning was your gardening club and you weren't available for us. So,
Well, what time do you start normally?
well, George always pushes for 7, but usually we end up at 9. So,
That sounds a little bit
George
better.
does not push for something.
So what did you say, it's, if it's 2 times a month, you said 2 to 3 hours, is that total, or for the month, or each time?
each time, usually it's
Okay.
2 to, because what will normally happen is we'll have a couple of applicants and we'll schedule them to come right after each other.
Right,
And
okay.
with the idea that, it's not our intention to waste anybody's time. So we'll come out on a Saturday morning, and so 9 to 11 is not uncommon. That's 2 visits in town. We're very
Okay.
lucky. Ayer is only 9 square miles, and so it hasn't,
And a lot of ponds.
and a lot of ponds, which means an awful lot of applicants with, small additions on the back of their house. And I think actually the funny part is we probably spend more time on the small applications and talking to the homeowners about what they want to do and getting a sense for the homeowner than we do on the professional applications, because they're businesses and they understand, or they hire people who understand the project better. So it's kind of the opposite of what you might expect.
Mhm.
I think we spent less time, so this Saturday, we visited a property, and I think we spent less time actually talking to them about their siding and their railroad and all the other work that's going to happen on their project. And I think we spent more time talking to the couple who wants to put the addition on the back of their house,
Yeah.
so.
And sometimes if we just had like a small homeowner project that we needed to do, and Becky, if she couldn't make it on a weekend, she would go during the week, and then we would go on weekends, and then we'd all
Right.
confer during the meeting. So that's always an option if it's a very small
Right,
project.
yeah. We wouldn't want you to drive 50 minutes each way
Right.
for a half an hour visit.
Right, okay.
But we would absolutely want your opinion. So this particular, the 2 applications this weekend, one was with regard to rainwater collection off of a rooftop. Pretty simple stuff. And the other was a stream that is cut through, essentially formed because of all the homes that were built there. Probably wasn't a stream there originally, and is a stream now. And so that was a pretty easy one to look at as well. Perfect thing for someone to pop by and take a peek at during the week and say, these are my concerns, these are my issues.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we're fairly flexible, but not
Well,
always. We're
that's-
sometimes hard.
no. So that's a little bit about us, that's a little bit about you. Did you have anything else at all?
Oh, I can't think of anything.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay.
I noticed that you have office hours on Tuesday nights, I think. Was it?
Well, actually, the
Or
town hall.
they're open and,
The town hall extended their office hours, which I thought was actually a really great idea. Town hall extended their office hours on Tuesday nights, and then they take an early Friday. And so that way, town offices are open later for folks who can't get in during the week.
yeah, most towns are doing that now.
Yeah, it's a good idea, because it's very hard to find time to zip out during the day and do stuff.
Yeah, we got a new town clerk last year. She seems very good. So,
Makes a difference.
yeah.
So, all right, well, thank you very much.
Okay,
We're
thank you.
still
Interviewing.
interviewing. Yeah, I think we're probably going to hold the position open just for a little bit more.
Okay.
But we greatly appreciate it and
Thank you.
appreciate your time. So, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, based on that.
Do you know how to get, oh, you have GPS, right?
Well, I don't use GPS because I read the map.
Okay.
See?
It's just like in the
See?
dark now. Now I've got to like backtrack in the dark.
So we were in upstate Connecticut, and I got over to my car. There was no service. In fact, we were there to build a site so that there'd be service. There was no service. I pulled the map out of my car, and the guy was with me. Goes, "What are you, Fred Flintstone?" And I said, "No, these don't go bad,
They never go bad.
right?"
And then especially now with the computers, my
Yeah.
gosh, you could see everything. You could even see what the buildings look
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Google Earth, it's great.
But still better with the maps. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Tracy. Have a nice night. All right. I would move that we close this public meeting, and when we meet back on the 23rd, I would ask if folks would have a quick blurb or opinion on the two applicants that we've spoken with, and should we do a rating system? Does that make sense? 1 to 10? Well, the only reason I was the only reason I was thinking of it is that was kind of how we did our review for the geosyntech, the proposals, and it seems like a great way to get people's feelings. Think about it, and come in with your opinion. Does it make more sense to just say we have two great applicants? Does it make more sense to say which one of the two you would choose?
Yeah,
Okay. No gradation?
but yeah,
Just pass fail?
if you're gonna do gradation, you gotta do criteria.
Crap, I guess that's true.
That's a good point.
We haven't gotten
Sounds
any
like
new
think or rating
applications.
work.
We haven't gotten any new applications.
Really?
I'm
As
not
of-
here on the 23rd, so you want that in an email?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
If you
please.
can't make it, you have to email.
I'm in Utah, so.
All right, so hold on. So going back a step. So we had you got dozens of applications for a period of a couple of weeks, and then nothing.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
It's still up on the MACC website.
It's weird.
So we always could try posting it on the MMA.
Did you send it direct to Becky?
Who?
All right.
Yeah. Who?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If anyone has anything more to add to the discussion.
You had said we could discuss what to put in, say, an email signed by you to our...
We get to write emails signed by him. To anyone?
Wait, just wait. Just pause for a second. And not for a fact.
Yeah,
To applicants so that they know that their application was important and appreciated.
well, we did send an email thanking each of them for appointments.
Sure.
I put my name on that one. But in terms of the one, we have like 5 definite bills. Rather than keep them hanging for...
I'm sure I can piece something together.
Okay.
Are
I'm
you?
terrible at stuff like that. That's my wuss side comes out.
I see.
You're such a hard ass. too. Hard ass.
So, are you thinking of something before the 23rd, or are you thinking of something post the 23rd?
I suppose post the 23rd, but
Seems like if we're still keeping our options open until the 23rd,
yeah.
seems wrong to tell somebody we're no longer interested. We could get an email tomorrow that the two applicants that we actually spoke to in person, are both.
Appalled by us.
Well, that was given.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Should put that in the description,
I
actually.
hope we're not asking that.
Prepared to be
There's-
appalled by us.
There's some questions you don't ask. I guess I'm, if suddenly they both found themselves independently wealthy and decided not to come to work every day,
Mhm.
I would hope that we could lean back on some of the other applications.
Okay. So we should each provide a sort of blurb on the two applicants and
I would say that
preference
the
and-
best thing to do would be to say, if we were to, because you have to say something, would be to pick the applicant that you preferred and to indicate the strengths that you think make them a good administrator. Well, because then people might want to compare strengths. People might want to compare strengths.
Okay. I have one more question.
Always.
Yeah. And it's a very serious one. Okay, so there are 3 photos here.
If there's something stuck in that beaver deceiver.
No, but I have never seen woodpecker holes like this. And this was a new tree. It wasn't there in the fall. These are huge.
Yeah, pileated.
Pileated.
So, so we were sitting in the house one day.
Pileated. Yeah,
Sorry, we were sitting in the house one day, and there's a stump
yeah.
behind the house, and there were 2 pileated woodpeckers working together
Yeah.
to destroy that stump. I mean, just absolutely and utterly destroy the stump. And as they were pecking it, the 2 of them were working together to knock a slab of bark off to get at what was under the bark. I mean, it was unbelievable watching them do the
At
business.
the top of it, there was this one much
Oh.
bigger hole.
Wow. So that's either a really soft spot or a very dedicated woodpecker.
Yeah. Yeah. So that wasn't there in the fall.
Hmm.
I would see it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a hole. I don't know. Usually, usually when they
Tasty bugs.
open them up wide, they make a because they're getting at a soft
Yeah.
spot where there are bugs, but usually not so large as that.
Well, they,
Giant.
they need
bug.
they need a home.
Hmm?
They need a home.
Yeah.
I guess it could have been. Yeah,
You think that could have been a nest hole? I'll have to watch that then.
that's kind of cool.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Is it so? Is that your trees near your home?
No, it's in off Littleton Road in Boxborough.
Oh,
Rolling Meadow. It's a small little conservation area.
interesting. Not Mordor.
Not Mordor, no. Stratton Hill.
It's not my call.
It's my sister. That was my sister.
And that's because she read the books, right? Not just saw the movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you have to read the book.
Well, it's just frustrating. People are like, oh, I love that. I love those movies. And you're like, you mean the books? No, the movies. Whatever. Although The Desolation of Smog is an awesome movie. But we digress.
Indeed.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I would accept options for saying goodnight. But no, I guess we'll just go with all in favor, say aye.